G'day everyone, we are back with page number 3 for this. So we're still working on using up our leftover pieces from cutting our page bases. So what we're doing is we'll be doing page 3 and page 7 in this video, which are very similar. And these are our stacked pocket ones. So this is page 3. So for this one, it's quite a simple design. We've just got 2 fold overs and our stacked pockets in here. So we will be doing that. And then for page 7, we've got the same concept. We've got stacked pockets, but for this, our closure is this one will slide over. We'll open up this one down here. This will come up. And then we've got a side closure with a large open pocket and our stacked pockets there. So that is what we are going to be doing. I've always got to think about how I designed this to close it, and it's like, there we go. I had to think. Alright, so there what we are up to today. So what we're going to need is our 2 page bases. So I've got page 3 and page 7 here. And in the leftovers, hopefully, you would have been left with, got to bring them on out of my little packets, some pieces that were 6 1/4 wide from when we cut the page bases, and around 3 1/4 high. The height doesn't really matter as such, and you'll have the same. You should have 6 of them, around 6 of them. So we've got 3 for each page 3 and page 7. So that is what we're going to be using. The first thing we're going to use is a either an edge die or a punch, and we're going to make a decorative top. Obviously you don't need to if you don't have these. I just have them, so I'm going to do it. Yeah. So I'm just going to take my decorative edge punch, and I'm only going to do one. It's always the thing of lining these guys up so that I get it in the right spot. Do I miss it often? Yes, I do. That's okay. It's like, it's just an added feature. Just a little bit off. Alright, so that is kind of how it works. I'm going to go off and do this for all 6 of these, and then I'll be back. Okay, so we're back and we've got these 6 pockets edge cut, and when we're going to do some scoring. So on one of each of them in page 3 and page 7, we're going to do 1/2 inch on the 3 straight sides. So 1/2 inch all the way around like that. And then on the other 2, we're going to do 1/2 inch on each side. So we're also going to, so we'll do that. I'll do the 1/2 inch and then I'll explain to you what I'm going to do next. Okay, so we've got the 1/2 inches. Then I'm going to take it and notch for myself just on where this score line is, so this 1/2 inch. I'm going to come in 1/2 inch just so I know where 1/2 inch is, and I'm going to do the same down here. So it's more as a guide for me. So if you have a look there, I have done a little 1/2 inch score line just there and there that's not coming over into the pocket. So just to show you again, I'll do it on 1/2 inch here, inch there, and then I'm just going to 1/2 inch here, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1/2 inch there. Alright, I'll be back when I'm finished doing all of these. Okay, so we have scored them all, and now we're just going to fold and do a little bit of cutting. So on the one with the 3 So we've got the base hinge for the pocket. So these are the hinges for our pocket. So on this one, here, we're just going to miter these corners just to make it easier when we fold it, that there's not a lot of bulk in there. So we're going to do that with that one. And then this one here, which has got just the two side hinges, I'm going to burnish them in first. And then we're going to take our scissors, and we've got that 1/2 inch score mark there, and that's our guide. And we're basically going to miter up to that. So just taking a snip off there, and we'll be left with kind of like a triangle there. You can snip these off if you want to, yeah, doesn't really matter, but that is kind of what we're looking for with the shape of our other ones, the ones that don't have 3, only the 2. So I'm going to do that, and then, as you know, I'll be back. Okay, so we're back with our set of 2 lots of 3 of these stacked pockets, and we are going to do some gluing to get them in place. I'm just going to have a chat to you. First, I'm going to apologise that it's a little bit dark this morning. Well, when I'm filming it, it's morning. It's just coming sunrise. But if I'm out on my kitchen bench for this, and if I have the overhead lights on, there's a lot of shadow. So it's kind of reminding me of when I had no power. It's been an interesting week. That's why these are a little bit delayed, because I had no power for a little while, so I couldn't film with the cameras, and I didn't want to waste my phone battery filming. So I'll tell you about that in a second. So what we're going to do is we're going to stack these pockets. So it's basically these ones here that we've made this become inserts into behind the next one. And then this one will go into the bottom one like that. So it kind of tells you how far in we're going to go with each of these pockets. But we're going to glue them together basically. Nothing too crazy. We're just going to come in. This is just a tack glue for when we stack the pockets into the inside insert page. So it's just a little bit of glue, literally here. I say a little bit, and I'm going to get it everywhere, but you know. Just to get them in place. And I'm using the base of the edge cutout as a guide to where I'm putting that little tab. But I just find it easier to do this outside. You don't have to, but do this before I put it into the onto the base page. Just saves me trying to wiggle things in and out and stuff. I can do it like this, and it's all done. So if you were to wear, it's been a week. So we had a major flood event over the weekend, which is always fun. And usually we're kind of aware that, you know, we get a fair bit of notice that a flood's going to occur. But in this case, they just couldn't predict that it was going to be as major as it was and as quick as it was. So basically, usually the floodwaters come down because I'm towards the end of the main river. Like, it's a large river that, you know, is obviously the end point for a lot of waterways, and usually they know there's been a lot of rain inland, and they're like, all right, it's going to flood, and we've got plenty of time to get prepared, so forth. But in this case, what happened was we had the inside ones, and so they knew that it was going to flood, but they thought it was just going to be like kind of a minor flood by the time it got to us. And so we were like, all right, we know it's coming, but it's only minor. Just do basic minor preparations, like the town doing preparations for minor flooding. And then overnight, to the other side, we got a huge downfall of 650 mil in a few hours, and basically that created a backlog of water that stopped the flow down of the water from coming from inland, and it caused a major flood event and a very short period of time. So the town had less than 12 hours to prepare for a major flood event. And they did a phenomenal job. Like, there were some failures, because we've got a temporary levee that they build up to protect the town centre. And what have I done, people? I'm like, why is that not the full length? Oh, that's right, I've got to actually put hinges on. I'm real smart. Okay, forget everything we've just done and flatten these back out. Okay, we're going to flatten them back out. That's helpful, it's alright. We can make mistakes. Mistakes happen. Alright, we're going to flatten these back out. Easy way to flatten something out if you've made a burnish is just to get your bone folder and run it along, and it'll flatten back out. We're going to cover this with paper anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Alright. Oh, I knew this, people. I knew this. Don't know what to talk about. I made no mistakes. No mistakes at all. I was too busy talking about floods. It's too early in the morning. My brain's not working. You know? Alright. So, what we're going to do is we're going to make some hinges. Now, from the scraps, wherever my scraps may be, where did I put you? So this is why we have scraps folded. Times like this, when I make mistakes, which is often. Right. Beautiful. Okay. In our scraps, we basically just want some 1-inch pieces. I don't think that's quite 1 inch, so I'm just going to. We want it to be long enough to do this side. That looks good. We're gonna. Oh, we've got the little miter down here. Oh, I'm doing real well. The question is, what do I do? To repair it, obviously. So I'm going to use a longer piece. So when you do it, don't miter these bottom corners, okay? Don't do as I did. Alright, so we're going to come along and we're going to do 1 inch wide, cut some 1 inch wide strips. 4, and of course I'm not going to quite get 4, but I'm just going to put it down the middle and that'll be good enough. Alright, okay, so we've got that. Then I'm going to score all of these at 1/2 inch. Checked before I went ahead, and I would have known that this is what I was doing. But you know, sometimes you don't. Alright. I'm just going to put these in. Is I am going to glue them onto here. I'm going to not worry about that top edge piece because we don't want it there. But I'm just going to glue it along the side, and I'm going to glue it the right way around. Let's not make any more mistakes, Sammy. And I'm just going to glue it like that. Adding some glue. It's like it never happened. See? What mistake? I don't see no mistake. No. Me make mistakes? Never. Yeah, so this flood, it ended up being massive. So the last time we had a flood this major, we call it a 1 in 10 year kind of flood. Happens every 10 years or so. So it was in 2013 was the last time we had flood this big. I was actually down, I wasn't living here at that time, I was down visiting my dad who lives here, and I was heading home that day back up north, and I was going to I wasn't in any rush, so I was just going to sleep and get up and then head off when I was ready. And he woke me up at like 3 in the morning and basically said, if you don't go now, you're not going to get home. And so I had to get up and get going, and basically drove ahead of the rain and the flood all the way back home. The first time I saw blue sky was when I actually got back up north to my home, to where I was living at that time. I was like, oh, okay, no worries. But yeah, so where I live not far, obviously not far from the river. I can see the river from my deck from up top. So I'm on 2-story, which makes a big difference as to why I wasn't ever really concerned about flood, because I'm on 2 levels. And houses so I'm just going to cut here. I'm going to cut straight across to where it would have been if I hadn't been silly and cut this in private. See, so it's straight. I know what he's talking about, no problem. Yeah, so I don't, I'm never too concerned about the floodwaters getting into the main part of my house. However, it was coming up, and I live at the top of a like hill mound, like where basically the last kind of edge for the river is. I live at the top of that. And so watching it come up, and if you look at my community post, you'll see what it looked like for the house down in that little valley. Why you'd build a house there, I never know. But anyway, it got covered, and that was a story in itself. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pretend like it never happened, and I'm going to come along and I am going to glue these pockets on. Oh, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm getting so ahead of myself. I've actually got to put the flippy flops on before I do that. Why aren't you telling me what I'm doing? I'm doing all this wrong, people. Doing this all wrong, people. Alright, let's do page 3's flippity flops. Okay. So page 3, we want 2 pieces of 6 by 8 1/4. Okay. And I need my instructions. That's what I need. I have an instructions book. I probably should be reading that, shouldn't I? Instead of just, flying blind like I'm doing right now. I sat there and wrote all of the instructions down, and now I'm just thinking, flying blind. Probably should look at my instructions. It might help. Okay. Alright. Okay, we did 1/8 of an inch. Alright. So for this, we are going to so I've got the 6 inch up the top. We're going to score at 1/2 and 3/8. No, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/8. Oh, so I'm making an 8-inch gusset. Oh, I'm doing well. Maybe I should just not right now. What did I do with the other piece? There it is. Oh, it's a shocker. I'm telling you. We're going to fold on each of them. Oh, put this thing away. Might make it easier. I can't really see what I'm doing, you know. Shh, it'll be okay. We'll get there. Alright, got that. We got the same on this one. So this one is definitely a do as I say, not as I do. Tutorial. Yeah, that's it. See, I don't even know what words I'm saying. Alright, so we're going to come in here and we are going to place this. Actually, well, it doesn't matter. So, okay. Alright, come along and place these onto our base page. So when I'm doing this, I'm doing it with the 1/2 inch and leaving that 1/8 of an inch free, because that's actually going to be my little gusset that's going to give space for the pockets and all underneath. So we've got it there, and then we've got this one. Alright, now we can glue the pockets in. We're finally getting to it. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so as the floodwaters rose, it was getting closer and closer to my ledge, and they weren't. Some predictions were it was going to be above where it was in 2013, some was under, all that kind of stuff. But basically, if it was over it, it would have come into my downstairs area. If it was under it, my downstairs area was safe. And downstairs for us, like, we don't have basements or anything in Australia, especially in Queensland, because that's just the amount of water and floods we get. You'd just be constantly flooded. And it's not in the design. We go up, not down, because we're trying to keep cool here in Queensland. So our houses are usually 2 stories with wooden floorboards and stuff, so that the breeze can get in up underneath and cool the house, and keep the cool house from the bottom as well. But you know, downstairs is usually our garage and like the pool room and all of that kind of stuff, games room and things like that. And downstairs at the moment, I've got Emily's older sister living in my little kind of hut / guest apartment thing downstairs. All right, so that's that one, and they're a little bit crooked. Why didn't you tell me they're a little bit crooked? Can I cope with the crookedness? I don't think I can. I'm like, do you reckon? I'm going to go off and fix this. Okay, so fix the crooked. Once the decorative papers and all are on it, you're not going to notice the crooked, so it's okay. Alright, so then we've got this. Let's make sure these fit in. Oh, Tammy, what are you doing, woman? Honestly, I'm just having a shocker this morning. Basically, it's saying, don't do this today. You should do this another day, I think. Alright, I just put it on. down the bottom wrong. Just need to make sure that it's fitting in to here. So basically I just want to bring in this hinge a little bit more. Only a touch. Bring this one too. Some scissors along the side. See me fix mistakes here. So this is a learning opportunity. This is what I say to my kids when you make mistakes. It's a learning opportunity on how you can problem solve to fix the mistakes. You don't have to start again. It's not the end of the world. You sit there and think, how can I fix this? How can I make it work before you give up? So there we go. They're in there now. That's it. That's it. Okay. This is also why I use glue instead of double-sided tape, because you end up having just a little bit more wiggle room. But once it sets, it's done. And I haven't burnished it down or anything yet, so that's better. Okay, now I can make sure I've got it down. Alright, so there we go. One. Let's see how I go with that next one, hey? Alright. So the next one has side and two that come over the top. So if we look at this one, we've got, just ignore this bit for now, we've got two from the top and bottom and one from the side. So that's what we're looking at doing for this one. Alright. So what I'm going to do is I'll give you the measurements that we need for this. So we've got 4 1/4 by 6 for the top ones and the bottom ones, and then we've got 6 3/4 by 8 1/4. So this one is going to be scored at a half and at a 3/4. I've got a 1/4 inch gusset. Why did I do that? Seriously, why did I do that? We only need 1/8. Oh, we'll make it under 1/4. Let's go with 1/4. It's there. Alright. This one at the so we've got the longer edge, the 6-inch side down here. We're going to go at a half and 3/4 again. Half and 3/4. Oh, I think because I've got 2 pockets inside, that's probably why. So, I know why I did it. Okay, so that's what we're going to do, and then I'm going to put an edge die along the bottom. So let's get rid of this thing. Let's get rid of this thing and bring out the die cutting machine. Ow! Alright, so I'm going to use an edge die. Doesn't really matter, and you don't need to do this either. Okay, I'm just making it all fancy and pretty because it's for Georgia, and you know she likes all the pretty, fancy, girly stuff. So it's a little bit shorter than what my edge date, which is fine. I'm just going to guide it up to be in the centre. So I'm just going to line it up for that. I'm just going to go get some, I didn't bring out some low tack tape. I'll be back. Okay, so I'm back with some low tack tape, dodgy old masking tape. Oh, this is old masking tape, so it doesn't have much tack at all, which is why I'm using it. And I'm still going to reduce the stickiness by just cutting a piece off and putting it on my hands and then peeling it off. Okay, so about centre, looks good. There we go. And then, what am I doing on that side? I can't do it on that side. Yeah, I'm going to be one at a time, Tammy. I'm not. I'm a nincompoop. You're a nincompoop, Tammy. So I'm just checking to see whether it cut, and it didn't cut all that well, so I'm going to turn it over now to this way and see how we go. Sometimes it just needs to be moved around if you can on the plate and then put through again. Obviously my low tack tape is a little bit too tacky. That's alright. Gets covered by what? Decorative paper, people. Decorative paper. Luckily we've got that. Alright. Cleaning out the die. So it's ready for the next one. I'll do the other one off camera. But let's pop this through. So I'm looking at this and I'm going straight up, these little bits here are going to not survive. So I'm just going to make it so they were never there. So I'm just going to come along like that. It looks like this. Look at that. There we go. There's our decorative edgy bit. Now I'm going to go off and do the other one exactly the same and then I'll be back. I'm beginning to feel like the Terminator. I'll be back. I'll be back. I'll be back. Okay, let's put these onto our base page. So, got the side one. Just go making sure that the glue's only going on the half inch, not that 1/4 inch gusset that we've made. There it goes. I think I'm going to this one here will come along, and we're going to put this at the bottom and the top. Okay. So eyeballing the centre, because that's what I do. You can find the centre if you really want to. But I'm like, yeah, that looks good enough. We know how successful it is when I guess spot. So how many mistakes have I made in this video? That's alright. So we got that one. That just got bent up a little bit from my rolling machine. Sorry. Decorative paper, people. And pockets for this one. I'll cover that. I'm just going to make sure these are lining up straight. That looks okay. A little bit over. That looks good. There we go. Alright. So, we've got that. So that, and eventually we'll add the thing that holds that down. And then we've got the side closure, turn it around right away. So we've got side closure, and then these two like that. That's how this page will look. And then we need a piece that is 4 and 6 1/4, and that will go over the top and will be our closure piece. But we will wait until we start to decorate paper on it. Now, see, I was smart. Look at this. In my preparations, I had made all of the hinges for my pockets. Probably should have used them. So these are obviously all 1 inch and would have gone onto the sides of each of the pockets before I put the edge, punch, all of that. Okay, so do that first. Otherwise you're going to end up with a whole lot of scrap 1 inch pieces. Woohoo! Okay, but I will find use for them. Don't you worry about it. I find uses for most things. Okay, now we're going to put the pockets in. See, luckily this is for Georgia. She won't know. She'll never know what I did. But I will, and you will, but she won't. Like, man, I made some mistakes on this hobby. And this is the second time round. I didn't make this many mistakes when I did the first one. Okay, so that is page 7 with the top little bit. I'm going to leave that be for now. We've still got another little thing to do on page 3 now that we've got that bit done. So page 3, inside I did another little pocket. You don't have to, but I was just using up scraps. Okay, so a lot of this was just about using up some scraps. So I did a little pocket in here. So for this I've got a 6 by 4 1/4. What have I got? Let's see what I wrote down. 4. So I can't even read my own writing. 4 by 6 1/4 piece. So it must have been another scrap piece. Knowing me. Alright. And I was like, oh well, I'm just going to use this up too. Let's throw a pocket in. I like pockets. Okay. So for this one, we're just going to do half on the 2 sides on this. So this is the longer 6 1/4 side. should fit within there. It doesn't interfere with the gusset in any way. So that is good. There. I'm just thinking to myself, let's have a look. Before I glue this down, I'm going to look at what I've done. Okay. The pocket's on this side. I was like, something's not right. I knew it wasn't right. Okay. So the pocket is on this side. That makes more sense to me now. Okay, so we're going to put the pocket in here. I'm not worried about a hinge down the bottom for these kind of pockets. You can if you want to, but I'm just going to put it in and glue straight along the bottom like that. It does the same thing. Page 3 and page 7. Thank you for watching all my errors and mistakes. Oh look, the sun's starting to come up. You can actually start to see a little bit better. So that is page 3 and page 7. So they're our 2 stacked pocket ones. That's how they will end up looking. Okay, and we will finish them off once we put them into the album and start adding decorative paper. Alright, I'm gonna go. Thank you very much for watching. And watching all my errors. Do as I say, not as I do. Remember that one. Alright, and also remember, be kind, be strong, and be a warrior. And I'll see you later. Bye.